Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai. Call low, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Bashem Rakakadash. Alright, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, to the Akim out there teaching and preaching this truth with 100% sincerity. To the Akim, 144,000 hopeful elect, the Bayashid Double Dad. This is Ayaz Shatad of Men of Valor Las Vegas camp. Alright, Salaki, I've been having some issues with this technology for the last week or two, but nevertheless, let the will of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua be done, and me continue on the lessons to the best of my ability. Alright, if let's go ahead and get into this lesson. I'm going to title this lesson Ease Days Are Up and Reviled. Alright, so we know who Esau Edom is. Alright, and those who are newly tuned in and waking up, you know, may Yahweh Bashem Yahushai quicken your spirit. Alright, but without further ado, let's get into the lesson. So this will be the book of Ecclesiasticus, otherwise known as Sirach, chapter 5 and verse 15. And it reads, but it's like it, be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small. Alright, so be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or small. And that being said, be not ignorant to who your enemy is. Alright, and the face of your enemy. So you have to understand who Esau and the other nations are, all right? Because these enemies of Israel, all right, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, Mexicans, Seminole Indians, Puerto Ricans, Guatemalans, Slovakia, so on and so forth, have an enemy. And the other nations, heathen nations, are your enemies, okay? And we know that through scriptures, all right? And the reason why they're your enemies, well, first and foremost, before we really dive into the lesson, let's just go ahead and get that. Let's go to the book of Psalms. We're going to go to chapter 83. Book of Psalms, chapter 83. Salakia. In verse 1, and it reads, keep not thy silence, O power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, the enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up thy hands. Verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. And Salakia, thy hidden ones, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. All right. So these other nations, all other nations outside of Israel, are confederate against you. And Lord willing, I find the chart of the heathen nations, and I'll go ahead and post it in the video. All right. But this is why you have to know the face of your enemy. All right. And understand that Esau Edom, first and foremost, is the chief enemy, the number one. All right. He's number one. Thus saith the Bible. Okay. So without further ado, let's continue on. All right. Just know your enemy and get familiar with your enemy in a different way. All right. And know that your enemy is not for you. All right. That's why they're your enemy. All right. So we're going to go to book of 1 Thessalonians. It's going to be chapter 5 and verse 21. And it reads, prove all things, hold fast which is good. All right, so we're going to prove it in these scriptures that Esau Edom is thy enemy. All right, and we have to prove it through scriptures, because Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has everything here for us. Okay? And we know that because we search out and search a diligent search for this book, as we're commanded. Study and show thyself approved, right? Roughly paraphrasing the scripture. So let's go to the book of Job. Book of Job, and we're going to go chapter 9. Chapter 9 and verse 24, and it reads, "The earth is given unto the hands of the wicked." Salakia, my phone is tripping. Let me start over. "The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" All right. So through iconoclasm, Salakia, I have a tough time pronouncing that word. Iconoclasm. They covered the faces of the judges. All right. You just read that they took away our name and us from being a nation, all right, with one consent, all right. The chief of the nations being Esau, Edom, and they are confederate together. So they cut us off from being a nation. They took our name, took our heritage, and stripped us of everything, all right. And this is due to our transgressions of the law, all right. Let's go to the book of Psalms. And it's going to be chapter 49 and verse 11. And it reads, their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. All right, so they call their lands after their own names. What are their lands? All right, they've conquered the whole world. All right, but let's say America. All right, let's say Africa. All right. Let me go ahead and get that. I already have it pulled up. Slovakia. All right. So Africanus, Scopius Africanus. All right. He was a general in the Roman army. All right. So Africa is named after him. All right, because Africa did have another name before, and you can go farther into this in the Wikipedia. All right. To prove it in more detail. All right. Scopius Africanus was a Roman general and a later consul who is often regarded as one of the greatest military commanders and strangest of all time. His main achievements were during the Second Punic War. He is best known for his defeating Hannibal at the fine Battle of Zama in 202 BC. All right. And once again, you can read this account and go in a little bit farther into that history. Okay. And then also with the account of Amerigo Vespuccia. He was an Italian merchant, all right, explorer and navigator, all right, and his name was termed America is derived, all right. America derived from Amerigo between the years of 1497 and 1504. All right. So these are the things you can look up for yourself. All right. Because you have to know your enemy. And Lord willing, this is an edifying, quick video. But you have to know your enemy and understand who your enemy is. All right. These other nations, Israel, are your enemies. Okay. Thus saith the Bible. I'm going to jump into the last two scriptures. I'm going to go to, Salakia, go to Second Timothy's, and it's going to be chapter 2 and verse 15. And it reads, study to show thyself approved unto the power, which that power, that word there is God, but God simply means power, all right? So it says, study and show thyself approved. So you have to look up these things. You have to look up the Hebrew. You have to look up the Latin. You have to do your research. You know, if you're a gamer, you're going to go and get that book or that cheat code book. If you're a student, you're going to go and get that textbook because you need to know the information for your class, right? This is way different because it's way more important because we're talking about your salvation, Israel, and salvation is only for you. So you have to study and show thyself approved. It's not just going to come to you, all right? It's not just going to be handed to you. You have to work for it, all right? And it goes on to say in the scripture, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of the truth. All right, so understand that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai's words are true. If you study and show thyself approved, if Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is dealing with you, you'll get it, and he'll continue to quicken your spirit. Abaratazah. All right? But you have to study and you have to seek, after roughly paraphrasing the scripture, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai 10 times more. Okay? And Slakia, I got one more scripture to pull. And this is going to be the book of Hosea. It's going to be chapter 4 and verse 6. And it reads, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. All right? Because they reject knowledge. All right? So you reject going to seek out something for your salvation, but you'll be quick to go and chase that bag, to go and chase a bag that has no salvation in it, or to look up when those new J's come out, or the details on the Xbox, or details on the PlayStation, or so on and so forth. All right? Or to look up, you know, when something's coming out, or, you know, looking up into so-called Black History Month, all right? Something that has no gain for you, all right? You look into the history of the past of this world, but you don't look in the history of the past of the world, of the real world, the biblical history, your lineage, all right? The closest thing that you'll get to your lineage as far as your house, okay? Because you are the house of Israel. Now, once again, you have to be predestinated to understand this, and it's all about the election of the 144,000 first and foremost, and the 1/3, and that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is dealing with you. But you have to seek your salvation 10 times more. Seek Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right? Let me finish up and read this. I will also reject thee that thou shalt be, Slaki, reject thee that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law. All right? That law that was given to us is what? The law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right? The 10 commandments, even though that there is more than 10 commandments, 613 commandments, all right, that we're supposed to do, but you're supposed to obey the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability, all right, to the best of your ability. Let me finish and read this. Thou hast forgotten thy law of thy power. That word, once again, power, God's means power, all right. I will also forget thy children, all right. Salakia. So if you seek Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, all right, and he's ultimately dealing with you, you have to understand that these are the things that you need to do. These are the things that you need to do, all right? These things will add life and salvation unto you if you hearken unto the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, all right? one more scripture again. Once again, it's going to be 2 Timothy's chapter 2 and verse 15. And it reads, Study to show thyself approved unto the power, and workman, it's like a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly divideth the word of truth. All right. So, Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson unto the body. I want to give all praises and all honor to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. To the Akim out there teaching and preaching this truth with 100% sincerity. The men, women, and children listening and learning. Hopefully it was edifying once again unto the body and to the Bayasha Dabadat, the house of David. This is Ayah Shatad bin of Valor Camp. Till next time, Shalom.